What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for a brand new episode here on Sci-Fi Wednesdays. We are back on our 1/12 scale General Grievous figure by Bandai, and today I'm hoping to go ahead and build up Grievous, get him standing on his own two legs, and we'll see how we go from there. Now, last episode, we went ahead and built up the lightsabers. We had to do a little bit of scratch building, but we have them wired up to our 3-volt coin cell battery just for a tester. I plan on using 2 AA's for my 3-volt battery pack, but this is looking pretty sharp, and I really like how these LED filaments have turned out. The problem is, however, though, each of the LED filaments has a bit of a dead spot on the top and the bottom. The reasoning behind it is the LEDs do not extend to the very end of it because you need some form of lead to go ahead and power up the entire string. So what I want to go ahead and do now is I want to try to adjust those lightsabers and actually take down the tip a little bit closer to where the LEDs actually start, wire them back up, and then put them together. So glue them all in there with some UV reactant resin, and then we can go ahead and eventually place them into Grievous's hands and see how they work. So that is the first thing here on the docket. So let's go ahead and jump into our time lapse, and let's, like I said, adjust those lightsaber blades, and then after those are fairly decent, we're going to go ahead and start assembling those, glue them all together, and get them solid and ready to be mounted onto Grievous. All right, let's go ahead and jump in there, guys. Let's get this party started. Alright, everybody, so we are back, and as you can see, we have 4 lightsabers, 2 blue, 2 green, and they're looking pretty sharp. They're not perfect, mind you. I had success with a few of them kind of bringing down that dead zone, but unfortunately there are a couple that you just could not get rid of them. So it is what it is. At least I know for future we can actually do a little bit more modification on those, but right now I think we are good with what we've got right here. And they're all assembled, glued together with UV reactant resin, and we are ready to go ahead and put those aside for the eventual mounting into Grievous's hands. So we'll do that a little bit later. But now I think it's about time to go ahead and get into assembling Grievous himself. We're going to go through and build up all the sub-assemblies, get him standing on his 2 feet, and then we can get his arms built up and we can put the lightsabers in his hands and see how the whole package looks. So it'll give us an idea to kind of mock everything up, and then we can figure out where to go from there. So let's go ahead and jump in there to our second time lapse. Let's start building up Grievous. Let's see how he fits together. All right, guys, we are back and we've gone ahead and assembled the head, torso, and the 2 legs. We're going to go ahead and turn our attention over to the arms, and we are building Grievous with his 4 arms deployed. Each one will be holding a lightsaber. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to jump in there. I got to tell you, the parts on this kit are absolutely fantastic. For his individual arms, they actually give you parts that are molded as one piece, but have a joint in the middle of it, so you can actually do some crazy poses. So that'll be fun to see how it operates. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump back into the time lapse. Let's finish up this episode with Grievous's hands, arms, and let's fit those sabers. All right, everybody, so we are back, and here is Grievous. He's not painted, of course, he's not weathered, but we have him fully assembled with all those lightsabers, and wow, this thing is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. This is 1/12 scale, so it's a pretty good size for sure. As you can see, we went ahead and kind of mocked up the lightsabers in each of Grievous's hands. The wires are going to be perfectly tiny, so we should be able to route them around different parts and pieces there in the arms, underneath the armor, and into his back. And as you can see, it does work, turns on and off and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think we are on the right track. Let me show you what it looks like here in a low light situation. And as you can see, the lights are pretty bright. I really like how it's coming together. But unfortunately, there are a couple of sabers that do have a bit more of a dead zone at the top. I tried to eliminate as much as I could of those, but it just is what it is. I'm not experienced with filaments enough to know how to fix that. So instead, we're just going to go ahead and paint all the blades eventually with clear green and clear blue. And hopefully that'll go ahead and kind of meld everything together, and it should look pretty good. Other than that, though, Grievous is moving right along. This is a very detailed kit, like you would expect from any Bandai boxing. We've got some nice surface detail. We even have Grievous's eyes and pupils, so that is pretty impressive, and that's molded into a solid piece of plastic. I don't know how Bandai does it, I really don't. As you can see, though, we have our lightsabers just basically mocked up in each of Grievous's hands, and I think there is enough room to get those tiny magnet wires kind of snaked around through the different parts and pieces. We're not going to be able to hide them 100%. You will probably see them, but if I can paint them black or a darker color, hopefully they won't be too noticeable, and we can get those to go where we need them to go. I should also mention that Grievous does come with a cloak, and this thing looks really, really nice, but unfortunately the material, or whatever it is so stiff, it's really hard to go ahead and get to fold naturally around the contours of Grievous and his armor. So I probably wouldn't go with it if I was going to go ahead and build up Grievous just with his 2 arms. Again, though, it isn't terrible. It actually looks pretty good, and it does fit together well enough. I wish it was a little bit of a thinner material, or maybe if it was a bit more flowy, and you could drape it around different parts and around Grievous's arms and legs, but it would go right approximately here, right above his shoulders, below his neck, and that would look pretty cool. But again, I'm not going to be using that because I've got his lightsabers deployed, so yeah, no harm, no foul. Now, Grievous himself is actually a very posable figure. I'm actually having a blast working on this model. If you can find one, I highly recommend picking it up because it builds up really, really well. It's got a ton of options too, so it's a pretty decent build for any Star Wars fan. But with that being said, guys, we are all finished up with our episode today. We've done a lot of work here. We have Grievous in his full glory. We need to go ahead and figure out next how we're going to snake those wires around different parts to go ahead and reach the base and the battery pack. But I think we're in a really good position right here, guys, and this kit is awesome. I'm having so much fun building this up. It's got great surface detail, so I don't think I'm even going to paint it. I think I'm just going to go ahead and weather it down, maybe overcoat it with some clay washes, just kind of play around with a little bit of very, very light weathering, because you can't use anything hot with this because those will melt all those joints. and some of these joints are rather thin. That's something to watch out for. But anyway, guys, that is it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us here. Until our next episode, you guys know the drill. Go out there and get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here on episode number 4 for Sci-Fi Wednesdays and Bandai's 1/12 scale General Grievous. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.